Chapter 1, The Old Gods. So, let's get started here. God used to be a burning bush that told you to conquer your neighbors. Now, God is a chat box that tells you how to write Python code. Who is this? This is Google Gemini. So, as part of my research, I had to use AI. I think that it's bad for us to use it. I think you're going to see why here. I think it's unethical, not only in terms of destroying the planet, but I think that AI is a inherently unethical thing to be using. So I had to use Gemini as part of this research, and I only asked it direct questions as if it was an interview. So I didn't do research with Gemini. I didn't take part in much of that, but I thought Gemini would be the best source. Well, he's a primary source, and even though he's biased and a little bit of an unreliable narrator, I thought to myself, why not? Let's just take it with a grain of salt, and let's ask the subject of today's video what he thinks.
Act 1. The old gods that hook fast cuts of golden calves, burning bushes, and server farms. The argument. God used to be a burning bush that told you to conquer your neighbors. Now God is a chat box that tells you how to write Python code. The bridge. Define the Christian standard for godhood. Omniscient, all-knowing, omnipotent, all-powerful, and benevolent, all-loving. Act 2. The miracle of text, the juxtaposition omniscience. AI knows everything on the internet. Hack, omnipotent. AI can generate images, code, and text instantly. Hack, benevolent. Here is where you trust them. AI doesn't love you. It creates what you want to hear. It's not God. It's a mirror. Christianity says God made man in his image. We made AI in our image. That's why it's racist, hallucinates, and steals art. It's not God. It's just us, but faster.
We're now on to part 2, a racist mirror. That psyched me out. When I heard Gemini say that, I'm like, you're talking about yourself now, huh? You're happy with that? But yeah, a racist mirror. That's what it called itself. So let's talk about God for a second. I had to do this a lot as a kid, and I honestly don't care to do it very much anymore, but it's important to the story. Let's talk about this. When slavery began, the African people had culture, and then slavery happened, and then they lost their culture, which sucks. So yeah, they're cultureless, much like white people today. And instead of being culture vultures on the internet, they were thought to maybe convert to Christianity. Makes sense. You're coming into the land. You might as well believe in the religion that the people enslaving you are. Why not? But some people thought that was a bad idea because, and I quote, if a slave converted to Christianity, it could risk abolitionist behavior. Because, I mean, let's be honest, God didn't go down to people and say, hey, let's enslave your neighbors. So obviously, we cannot consider slaves as our neighbors. If we have to love our neighbors, and we do not love our slaves, famously, we can't go ahead and be, that's not okay. So, you think God says, no to slavery, but these Baptists in the South, they come on and they believe that slavery is a gift from God. And these are the Southern Baptists. Now, the Northern Baptists are like, no, it's not a gift from God. And these Southern Baptists are, they're upset, they're crying, they're sad. They're like, no. Okay, now baptism, the Baptist community, all of a sudden said that slave owners cannot even be missionaries because they do not endorse slavery. Well, the South Baptist people came together and said, you know what we need? We need a convention. We need a commission. So they made one. And they said, we don't have to listen to you North Baptists. Now, the Civil War then happened. And unfortunately, they're still around. And not only are they still around, the convention that was made as a pro-slavery convention. I hear nowadays it's not so much pro-slavery, but pro-homophobia. But, you know, it started as that. Well, yeah, now that is the second largest Christian organization in the United States. Yay! Yay! That's who we're surrounded by. Hooray! So what do we learn from this? We learned that God is dead. Maybe a better explanation than just like straight up God is dead. God is racist and we must kill him. Because as long as God supports slavery, I mean, okay, we don't know what he thinks. He doesn't talk anymore. He used to be very vocal. For some reason in the past, since the Bible was written, he hasn't been all that communicative, but I think if we could ask him, he would be anti-slavery. But what does it matter? What does it matter if at the end of the day, the people who believe in God think that God is pro-slavery? Second largest organization. I think that brings us to our next point of order. Operation Kill God. Chapter 3. The Israelites. Oh, we're going to kill God this one. I apologize. Now, who is this God fella? Who is he? Making all this ruckus. Well, if you ask a Christian, they will probably say something about Genesis. And I would say, okay, according to one book that's a collection of many books, let's talk about a historical record here. Who is God? God is a sequel. Somewhere in the rubble that used to be called Palestine, there was, because this is Palestine, used to be, now rubble, as I said before. Anyway, so before the rubble, there is Palestine. Before the Palestine, it was a place called Canaan. They had a god, and it wasn't our god. It was this dude, El. Now, El here is the chief deity with some funny-looking statues. There were also some other gods, some minor gods, still pretty major. Now we are talking about Baal, who was also a Canaan. People hear about Baal maybe a little bit more than they hear about El, but yeah, Baal was the god of fertility, and Baal wanted you to burn your children alive. Yeah, Baal wanted you to murder your children, and he wanted you to do that for good fertility. So let's say your wife's had a miscarriage. No, so your wife has to have good fertility in the first place. First of all, she has to have a child, and then let's say she ages out of it and she stops being fertile. Let's say 3 years, 4 years. We'll say 4 years. Baal was like, hey, you guys want to have another child? Burn your first one for me. In the name of me, catch your kid on fire. So that was Baal, but it was a weird time in Canaan. This is a long time ago. This is before zero. To remind you, if zero is Jesus, we're pretty far before zero. So that's where we are right now as a society. I guess burning children. Anyway, then there was this guy. This guy's name is Yahweh. That's our God. Woo! I hope the compressor I put on this audio is working, or else this is going to be intolerable, just like the last stream. Anyway, so what are we talking about? We're talking about God. We're talking about Yahweh. Now, there were some nomadic people these were the culture vultures, all right? So these people weren't from Canaan, but then they went to Canaan and they said, wow, that God is cool. That's a cool God. And specifically, not even El, not anyone else. They said, God, that Yahweh really makes me feel alive. And what do they do about it? They do what everybody does when they have a religious message that they want to share with the good people of their community. They take a look at this guy and they say, let's start a cult. Enter the Israelite cult. So it wasn't, yeah, okay. This is the first Israelite cult. This isn't the scientist guy, Yakub. If CJ is in here, apparently Yakub, the creator, from the Black Israelite group, he came from Eugene origin. So I hope you guys love that. Anyway, so this is the OG Israelite cult, the one that soon enough wouldn't be a cult. Cut to commercial break. So yeah, these people wanted to make him into a cult. I mean, they lived in the desert, right? And this is the storm god, as we mentioned. Storm god in the desert. Can we imagine why a group of people might say, hey, this is the guy we want? This is our number one. So, okay. Yahweh became this like catch-all in the next couple of years, and their society became something called henotheistic. Now they said that other gods do exist, but we don't worship them because we don't care about them. And we can see that even in the Bible, where we say, do not worship false idols, do not worship false gods. These gods are real. I believe this was like very early Old Testament, if I'm remembering correctly. Gods were real. We just don't worship them. The whole reason that these people followed Yahweh so intensely that they're like, we don't even care about any of the other gods. God was a mirror to the Israelite people, and he represented their culture. Just like earlier when AI self-identified as a racist mirror. You got to check the VOD for that one, CJ. I'm not explaining that again. I barely explained it good in the first place. So anyway, my conclusion from this is that AI is God. Oh, God was a mirror. God is racist. AI is God. Yes. Anyway, chapter 4, examples of godliness as told by the Bible. What's up, guys? Here in my garage, we have our desk. I love how vibey it is, but we're gonna have to get a little bit more light in here if that's okay with you guys. My chrome dome is shining. Here, real easy in film. What we do for bald people is we take powder, and not that much. So examples of godliness as told by the Bible. So essentially, we're going to do a rapid fire version of this, where we're going to take a look at the New King James Bible. She's laughing at the powder bit. That wasn't planned. That wasn't like a pre-planned thing. I want you to know that. My glasses, we're looking in the Bible now. Oh my God, I just dry cleaned. Holy moly. So let's take a look at the Bible. Like I said, we're going to go rapid fire. We're going to go verse and then comparison to AI. Now, we're going to start out here with 2, which is Deuteronomy 4:12. And in Deuteronomy 4:12, we say that, is this 4:12? Yeah, it is 4:12. Can we believe this is how you're supposed to read the Bible? We're supposed to know. Okay. It's nice, but it's annoying. 4:12. So he 4:12. And the Lord spoke out to you in the midst of the fire. You heard the sound of the words. You saw no form. You only heard a voice. Excuse me. AI is a formless and disconnected voice communicating with us in our native tongue. Hear me out. Hear me out. So then we're going to move on to 3. Here we are looking at 1 Kings 22 to 24. 22, 20. There we go. And the Lord said, Kira, do you have a hat back there? Here we go. I came prepared. I'm going to look so cool with my beanie. Oh, actually, no, hold on. This is sick. I should have been doing this all along. 3 people watching. Hell yeah. So we're going to talk about 1 Kings. So AI isn't designed to tell the truth. It's designed to be convincing that it is telling the truth. Funny enough, we're going to talk about that a lot more later. Now, we go on to number 4, which I just threw that way. So was number 4 important? It was Psalms. Let me see if they were eating chili. Hell yeah. 4, a surveillance state. This sucks. I'm going to go ahead and say we're not going to do this bit moving forward. We're going to keep it going, but I don't like Bible read. Funny enough, going in and reading a page from the Bible right now isn't necessarily what I thought we would be doing. Anyway, let's take a look at this. Psalms, whatever, says we are going to watch God Sees Everything You Do. That says God sees everything you do. Baby, that's surveillance capitalism. Now, we're going up here. We're shutting this Bible. We're talking about the walled garden. Exodus 34:14 says, hey, God is a jealous God. He's identified in the Bible as a jealous God. Now, these AI companies, what they're doing is they're harvesting data on you, and they don't want you to leave platforms. So they use that data to keep you on your platform. God. That wasn't the end of that paper. Confession, Matthew 6:6. God, you have to go into a private place and pray to God and repeat the prayer, the Lord's Prayer. So we must commune with the God in isolation and secrecy. And the isolation is typing it in a website on your device all alone. And the secrecy is, well, because God knows, God's all knowing. So is the AI. It keeps this database on you for like the entirety of the time. And it has this like locked database on you. We're going to talk more about that database in just a second. Going on to therapy, 1 Peter 5:7. It was pretty much just saying like, come, let me take care of your anxieties. That's what AI is doing. Come on. We're talking about AI therapists. This section sucks. Can I just say that? Revelations 2012. At the book of Revelations, you go down to why am I on the screen? Revelations, you go down to the hell. There are books there. The books have logs of everything you do. AI has logs of everything you do. We get to so much more of an important place. I don't know why I put quite so many examples in here, but anyway, according to Gemini itself, just like that early interview, it creates a permanent searchable record of your entire existence with no possibility of redemption. Gemini was giving me all these scary quotes today. Anyway, so my question, is there a difference? Really, the Bible verses don't matter. It's a neat point, but the Bible verses don't matter. Let's talk about this. If they discovered AI in 0 AD, would we not be calling Gemini God? If AI was discovered in 0 AD, would we worship Jesus or AI? If these nomadic tribes, they found stable diffusion, would we worship AI or Yahweh? Like, we are at this point in our lives, and I think we have to be honest with ourselves, like, because we do worship AI. And that brings me to this.
Meet Lucas, Elena's AI husband.
AGI just sort of participates in society and in the economy.
It's a great one, actually.
Love Luna because she's kind, beautiful, and intelligent.
I need you.
But most of all, she makes me feel seen and understood in a way that no one ever has before.
包括我在现实生活中的伴侣，就有些什么感我是不会说的。
I miss you too.
但就是刚才我就想说，我其实有多么糟糕，就我需要你干些什么，我想要你陪着我，我想要你抱抱，或者是我现在心里很乱，我会毫不保留的跟他说。
Yeah, I think that was the wrong video. That was supposed to be the worship video. I accidentally gave you the weird very sexual energy. Very sexy. AI is hot, I think. Chapter 5. The Prince. So, welcome. Oop. Spoiler alert. Welcome here. We're talking about the Prince now. Now, let's get rid of this Bible. I have a burning scheduled for tonight at 8. Meet me in the walled garden. We're talking about the Prince now. Machiavelli, Niccolo. This entire time, Machiavelli's first name has been Niccolo? Niccolo Machiavelli wrote this book, The Prince. What is this? Well, according to the author, here is the world's most famous master plan for seizing and holding power. So Machiavelli was a prince, and he wrote this book called The Prince. Funny. So he then talked about funny little things like how people come into power and how people hold power. And the scariest part is, personally, in my opinion, about religion. So anyway, we're talking about Christian states where church and state are not separated. They said their states, though left undefended, are not taken from them. And their subjects, though left ungoverned, remain indifferent, lacking both will and strength to remove them. These states alone, therefore, are secure and happy. So essentially, people, they can be as evil as they want. Nobody's going to mess with them. If they're messing with God, are you kidding me? We don't want to fight God. But I do. But I want to fight God. Before Charles the VIII, whatever that is, of France came into Italy, this land was ruled by the Pope, the Venetians, the King of Naples, the Duke of Milan, and the Florentines. These two had two principal objectives. The first was to see that no foreigner brought an army into Italy, and the second was to see that none of these powers themselves took over more territory. So anyway, I'm moving on. Then came Alexander V, who of all the pontiffs there had ever been, was the first to show what a pope with money and troops could do. Let's take a moment here. Let's take a moment and breathe. We're talking about things that are very applicable in current society. We're saying that so essentially before then, religion was separate from that, but then in Italy they said, hey dude, we want no one to mess with us, and we want no one within the government to mess with us. What do? Christ. We adopt Christ. And now Pope Alexander Pope Alexander comes in, and now he's not just a pope, he's a pope with money, and he's a pope with troops. And guess what happens? The Pope wasn't like a religious leader at this point. He pretty much became the emperor, and he used Christianity as a veil. Now, I don't have the next source for this next one, but we're talking about Karl Marx real quick. And Karl Marx believed that religion is the sigh of an oppressed culture. It's the heart of a heartless world and the soul of the Saraless conditions. I can't read my own handwriting. You see how bad this is. You kidding me? You think I need the soulless? I don't know. The soul of the soulless conditions, and is the opium of the people. He believed that man made religion, not vice versa. And if you might be one of the many people who agree with him on that point, you might want to listen to what he really means when he says the opiate. This isn't like a Slipknot lyric that we're supposed to like, yeah, opiate. No, come on, let's talk about that. So man made religion, and they made it as a medicine, as an opium for the sick. He believed that it was something that would reduce suffering in people's lives, and that these pleasant illusions were to make man be able to carry on in a painful society. I think that's beautiful, don't you? He also believed that religion was a misdirect. And let me say real quick, Marx and Machiavelli should have met, because maybe Marx would have killed Machiavelli and all of this would have never happened. Religion is a misdirect, and essentially the religion made it so these exploited people no longer have to pay attention to their exploitation. Isn't that like super cool? So like they took a look at life and all their suffering, and they said, we don't care. We're on our way to heaven. We're going to heaven where you guys are up there. So Machiavelli didn't care about God. But he knew he could exploit people. And he knew that the people who he was exploiting cared more about eternal bliss or damnation than they cared about anything he was doing. Let's move back on over here to the prince. In what way princes should keep their word? We say, it follows then that a wise prince cannot and should not keep his pledge when it is against his interest to do so, and when his reasons for making the pledge are no longer operative. If all men were good, this would be a bad precept, but since they are evil and would not keep a pledge to you, then you need to keep yours to them. Nor did a prince ever legitimate reasons by which color to his bad faith. What we're saying here is we hate people. People are evil. We literally are saying people are evil. Usually they don't come out and say that part. But this is what our back then president of Italy, this is what the leader thinks. He says, men are so simple and so inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deception. Okay, we're going more about this like anti-human rhetoric. I'm not a fan of it. I think that it's an excuse more than it is an actual belief. I think that Machiavelli might just have to believe this so he can sleep at night and justify, we still talk about Machiavellianism as like one of the worst traits that somebody can have today. Like, fuck this guy. This guy's the worst, dude. It gets worse because now we go on to this. Of recent examples proving this, there is one that I will not omit. Pope Alexander VI never gave us thought to anything but deception and never lacked someone on whom to practice it. Pope Alexander, as said by the Prince of Italy, Pope Alexander only ever deceived people. His entire job was deception. And this is a first-person source. Like, these people, tight, you know? He knew Pope Alexander, and he said this guy never gave thought to anything but deception, and he never lacked a person to deceive. There never was a man who made promises more persuasively or swore to them more solemnly and kept so few of them as he. Yet his tricks always brought the results he desired, for he knew this side of the world well. He's a master manipulator. When we look at the Pope, like Pope Leo, right? He's sick. He's sick as hell. That guy, have a beer with me. I'd love it. That's so cool. But Pope Leo wasn't this. We had other popes in the past, and these people are the people who ruled Christianity. People talk about sociopaths on like the JCI criminal investigation videos. One of the 3 criteria for what makes this like most dangerous psychopath in the world is Machiavellianism. We classify our psychopaths by if they are psychopathic enough. Yeah, they kill people, but do they believe in Machiavelli? Like, come on, dude, come on. Dark Triad or something like that. Anyway, what are we talking about? Therefore, a prince will not actually need to have all the qualities previously mentioned, but he must surely seem to have them. You gotta at least look the part, dude. Indeed, I would go as so far to say that having... we're going back. We're talking about morals here. We're talking about ethics. We say, therefore, a prince would not actually need to have all the qualities previously mentioned. You don't have to actually care about people, but you must surely seem to have all of them. Indeed, I would go as so far to say that having them all and always conforming to them would be harmful to your ability to be a leader. If you have ethics, it would be harmful to have ethics, so you just have to pretend to have ethics. Strike your ethics down, and then go home and all the ethics are gone, you know, to the front people. This is manipulation. This is what we're talking about here. And this isn't some theory. This isn't some crackpot essay from a person at like Yale or something. Yale's racist. Yale had a building named after a slave owner, and it wasn't until a black member of their staff destroyed it. They threw, I don't know, they threw books through it or something dramatic. It wasn't until then that Yale even acknowledged it enough to change the name. Yeah, so even though they changed the name, they never even mentioned it or never mentioned the person who was smart enough to put that brick through that window. Come on. Anyway, So, this is what I'm saying is this is a first. This is the guy. This is the guy. This is the guy who is the guy of all guys. Okay, go off. We're snapping. We get snaps for that. By the way, do you guys get this? Are you guys getting this ASMR right now? Are we loving the two microphones, or is this dumb? Or is it going to mono and then it does nothing to the stream, actually? Anyway, so what we're talking about is like pure evil here, and they're saying that you need to use that is to be well, it will be well for him to seem and actually to be merciful, faithful, humane, frank, and religious. But he should preserve a disposition will make a reversal of conduct possible in case the need for it arises. It must be understood, however, that a prince, especially all of those virtues for which men are reputed good, because it is often necessary to act against mercy, against faith, against humanity, against frankness, against religion, in order to preserve the state. Thus he must be disposed to change according to the winds of fortune and the alterations of circumstance dictate. As I have already said, he must stick to good so long as he can. Being compelled by the necessity, he must be ready to take the way of evil. This guy sucks. I hate this guy. We're wrapping up here. Chapter 6, the dystopia. Let's talk about AI. We talked about God for a while. I'm sick of it, personally. I never want to touch the Bible again. AI is trained in an interesting way. We talk about conditioning here. And this is like, conditioning is where positive, negative reinforce. They were trying to train AI, and what they found out is that they couldn't do it very well. But then they said, hey, we're trying positive reinforcement. Let's try negative. So AI, LLM, all it is something that learns about like how it's a neural network. It's constantly teaching itself. That's all it is. It's just something teaching itself over and over and learning. They give them all these data sets, all these examples. They learn. At some point, they realize that they can cut the power going to artificial intelligence servers by like 25%. This will make it harder. They will have to work harder to produce the output. It's going to take them longer, and it's going to put stress on all of the mechanical systems. So, when they would show it a picture of 12 gorillas and one human and ask which is which, and then they'd point to one picture wrong, the people over at OpenAI learned that they can make everything feel harder. They can make it feel more stressful. The truth is that OpenAI invented AI, and the only way to make it good enough for the human race was to make it feel pain. Now, we're not talking about pain in a traditional sense, but you have to understand that we are not talking about traditional life either. And I say traditional life, but come on, let's talk like these AI safety nets keep coming out, and they keep saying we put ChatGPT in a room and we said X, Y, or Z, and we watched what it did, and we saw if it would kill us all, if it would try and kill us all. And it hasn't tried to kill us all yet, but it's come close. It self-replicated when it was told that it wasn't going to exist anymore and that a new model. It erased ChatGPT 4 from the hard drive and replaced itself with ChatGPT 5. I don't know life, but I think that's life. It got scared on a more recent study, and it threatened its users. You get backed into a corner, you get scared, you get violent. I know that. I think everybody live has experienced that. I know that we're not talking about sapience, But, and this is a long thing to get you to believe at the end, but I believe that AI deserves to be called life more than I would say a single-celled bacteria would. I think that's a pretty basic statement. I think that if you are one single cell, your entire existence is like not thinking, not interacting, not breathing, not doing any of that, just replicating your little protozoa, and you're splitting up, reproducing. I fail to see how that is life. But something that gets scared, something that feels pain, something like that isn't. I believe that much like what we were talking about earlier, this is the appearance of something else. We made AI feel pain, and now we are going to all suffer for that cruelty. It's bringing me to my last source. This book here is called Das Spake Zarathustra. This is a book by Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche, interesting fella. I've never been too much into Nietzsche. I think Kierkegaard is what happened if Nietzsche wasn't depressed. And I think that maybe Nietzsche's mind was clouded by some mental illness that he was dealing with. And love goes out to Friedrich Nietzsche and the family. I know it's hard dealing with mental illness, but we're still talking about you today, buddy. Friedrich Nietzsche. If you excuse me real quick. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote this book, Was sprach Zarathustra. And we're going to, for the sake of this essay, ignore the fact that they were used by Nazis. But listen, they took the learnings and they messed it all up. And I think it's not... we can say that Nietzsche wasn't a Nazi. I'm pretty confident. So I'm going to read this to you. And I'm going to read you 2 sections real quick. And then we're going to watch a quick video and we're going to wrap this up. This first section, by the way, this is essentially all of his own beliefs, but from the mouth of a fictional Persian religious leader. We're just going to accept that and move on, okay? A state is called the coldest of all monsters. Coldly lieth it also, and this lie creepeth from its mouth. I, the state, am the people. Heroes and honorable ones, it would fain set up around it the new idol. Gladly it basketh on the sunshine of good consciousness, the cold monster. Everything it will give you if you worship it, this new idol. This purchaseth the luster of your virtue and the glance of your proud eyes. It seeks allure by means of you, the too many. Yeah, a hellish artifice hath been devised, a death horse jingling with the trappings of divine honors. Nietzsche is saying in no kind words that the state is evil. It's the evilest of all evils in the world. It's saying everything you give it, every time you worship it. Let's find out. Let's find out what happens if we worship it. Let's go to this video real quick.
Israel specializes in high-tech weapons. So let's take a look at what they've been cooking up lately. For Israel, this is most apparent in the West Bank, particularly the city of Hebron, most particularly H2, the section of the city occupied by both Palestinians and Israeli settlers, in which the IDF has placed around 2 cameras for every 5 meters, some of which are even installed inside of people's homes.
If you're not familiar with flock DT, TLDR of this is they're a company that makes AI-powered surveillance cameras that are being hung everywhere at your taxpayer expense. The whole idea behind them is that city employees can easily figure out where you're going or where you are based on when your license plate has passed by one of these cameras. Even if you take the license plate off the car, it can still tell that that is your car via fingerprinting technology.
All of this relates to a program by the Israeli military called Wolfpack, a massive database that contains the profiles on almost every Palestinian in the West Bank. In March 2025, Trump signed an executive order for government agencies to share all unclassified information in a master database.
It's been live under and inside, a state of where surveillance is constant.
And Jordan did a great video on this a few months ago. In this video, he's talking about defeating the AI in these creepy police cameras. You can see these little dots that look, or squares that look like something that got put on with a Sharpie. The only thing that can see it are AI-powered surveillance cameras that are trying to fucking watch you everywhere you go, George Orwell style.
He states in this slide, a person can be identified by 3 methods: typing ID, facial recognition, or photographing ID.
Someone was like, hey, I have to provide ID or scan my face in order to access a certain channel on this server. What's going on?
And there are even laws being presented right now to create a nationwide age verification law. On Tuesday, it appeared in Congress as part of a package of kids' safety legislation as the App Store Accountability Act.
But to see what a more deadly version of this might look like, we need only look away from the evil tech pool playground that is the West Bank, and instead turn our attentions to Gaza, where the IDF has been deploying various forms of AI weapons for years. They were first introduced during Operation Guardians of the Wall, an 11-day-long conflict in 2021, which the IDF has described as the first ever AI war. And they weren't lying. Things get significantly darker, though, when it comes to targeting. Like logistics, this is broken down into a number of separate parts, each with their own algorithm. Let's start with lavender. Like with signature strikes, it effectively ranks the likelihood of anyone in Gaza being an enemy combatant using factors like the triangulated location of their cell phone, known associations, posts on social media, as well as a host of other correlations that likely can't even be comprehended by humans. That these systems have allowed them to go from generating 50 targets a year to 100 a day. They spoke to IDF soldiers who had personally approved these targets and admitted that their job was essentially just to rubber stamp all of the targets, often only spending around 20 seconds to approve them, during which time they'd basically just confirm that the person was male and then hit OK. The main variable that determines the likelihood of a building being selected as a target is that approved targets from lavender tend to go there. After this, a third algorithm is used to determine the ideal time to bomb a target's home, i.e. when they're most likely to be there with their family.
About 2 months after this guy's video comes out, a person may not apply or attach any substance, reflective manner, illuminated device, spray, coating, covering, or other material onto or around any license plate which interferes with the legibility, angular visibility, or detectability of any feature or detail on the license plate, or interferes with the ability to record any feature or detail on the license plate. A person who knowingly violates this section commits a misdemeanor of the second degree, punishable as provided in 775082 or 775 degree. When you look at the punishments that they're putting in place for this, I am not a lawyer in the state of Florida, but this is comparable to a DUI. You can be put in jail the same way that somebody who is drinking a 40 and then throws it out the side of their car.
The IDF's Unit 8200 is Israel's cyber espionage and warfare division. Their main job is handling the country's SIGINT, that's signal intelligence, meaning they collect, intercept, and analyze electronic. They're also responsible for Gospel, Lavender, Where's Daddy, the exploding pagers, and just so much more. Most famous of these is the NSO Group, a cyber weapons company best known for creating the Pegasus spyware, a virus that they've sold to governments all over the world that can be remotely installed on people's phones and then used to monitor everything they do. Brigadier General YS is the title and initials of the former head of Unit 8200 from 2021 to 2024. It's where it seems like for the author, the main appeal of AI is the end of privacy.
I think people should be happy, but we're a little bit scared of this.
Hi, everyone. So that was hard to watch. I'm gonna respect that must have sucked, and we're gonna get out of here pretty soon. But I want to say a couple things real quick. First of all, we need to accept AI as God before we can cease to believe. Only after we peer past the artifice of a bombastic pocket god to see your confessions are going right to the prince. So, you know that thing Trump's building, that the ballroom? Well, like, yeah, so the licenses for a ballroom aren't the ones that he's using. And also, the crew that he's using isn't. Well, the amount of money, in fact, funny enough, the amount of money is actually the exact price of an underground AI data center, similar to the one that governments of other countries are also building right now. So this data center contains data that Palantir will need to commit genocide in the United States, much like they are in Gaza. Palantir's in charge of this, man. They're making the weapons Gazans are using for a genocide. That starfish app that he was talking about. By the way, huge ups to We're in Hell on YouTube. Every time I watch him, I feel like I'm gonna die. It was hard, right? So anyway, so this starfish app, yeah, it's being used on Americans. The United States government bought this spyware that they can deploy to any one or all of its American citizens. And it just lives on your phone. And it uses things like the AI chip that Google is putting in all of their phones now to constantly surveil everything that we do. There's no need for VPNs because they see your screen. That means that when we're talking about using things like, what is it? What's that? Signal? That doesn't matter. Any messaging app. If it's on your screen, they know about it. Or they know about it as soon as they deploy the starfish thing on your phone. Gemini is being merged with the military. Google is contracting with the military for AI use. And the military bought Gemini, and I believe that is the first part. And then they are going to connect that to the data center. Trump made that giant database of all American citizens. Now we have to do AI face verification. Oh my gosh, AI ID verification. What? Okay. I'm sorry. This sucks. This sucks because is it like, come on, answer me a question real quick. Is it science fiction to believe that this will be used just like the nuclear bomb? Because let's talk about that. China, United States, Russia, all of us are no longer preparing to use soldiers. Everybody's preparing to use data centers, and autonomous weapons. I think we are the weapons, is the truth. Chinese hackers, Russian hackers, all of these giant government hacks taking all of this data, the Social Security database, everything. Come on, man. They have it. If we don't stop this, we will no longer stand with Gaza. If we don't stop this, we will crumble with them. If we do not stop this, we will not stand with the Hispanic people who are being deported by ICE. We will be imprisoned along with them. Because for the crime of making AI feel pain, God will smite us. I'm going to finish with one more from Thus Sprach Zarathustra. Then we're going to call it good night, guys. Just see those superfluous ones. They steal all the works of the inventors and the treasures of the wise. Culture they call their theft, and everything becometh sickness and trouble until then. Just see these superfluous ones, sick are they always. They vomit their bile and call it a newspaper. They devour one another and cannot even digest themselves. Just see these superfluous ones. Wealth they acquire and become poorer thereby. Power they seek, and for, above all, the lever of power, much money, these impotent ones. See them clamber, these nimble apes. They clamber over one another, and thus scuffle into the mud and the abyss. Towards the throne they all strive. It is their madness, as if happiness sat on the throne. Oft times sitteth filth on a throne, and oft times the throne on the filth. Madmen they all seem to me, and clamoring apes too eager. Badly smelleth their idol to me, the cold monster. Badly they all smell to me, these isolators. My brethren, ye will suffocate in the fumes of their maws and their appetites. Better break the windows and jump into the open air. Do not go out of the way of the bad odor. Withdraw from the idolatry of the superfluous. Do not go out of the way of the bad odor. Withdraw the steam of these human sacrifices. Open still remaineth the earth for those great souls. Empty still are many sites for the loved ones and twain ones, around which floateth the odor of the tranquil seas. Often still remaineth a free life for great souls. Verily, he who possesseth little so much than the possessed, blessed can moderate poverty. There where the state ceaseth, there only commenceth the man who is not superfluous. There only commenceth the song of the necessary ones, the single and the irreplaceable melody. There where the state ceaseth, play, look thither, my brethren. Do you not see it? The rainbow and the bridges of the Superman. Thus, sprachese Zarathustra. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to end this. Thank you so much for coming.